So here we go. Welcome everybody to another installment of the Ask the Editor series. I'm having so much fun with these, and I hope you guys are as well, learning about these different editors and their magazines and what they're up to, what they're looking for. As always, if you have any questions about the interview series, or if there are any particular editors you want me to interview and get in touch with, just let me know. So today I am super excited. We have Kristen Simental, who is joining us from LA. Kristen is the editor of 5 South Journal, which is a brand new online literary magazine. So hi, Kristen, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. So this is particularly exciting because 5 South is a brand new literary magazine, right? So it's just started in 2020. So we will get to know, Kristen, we'll get to know more about the magazine, but I'm excited also to learn like sort of what goes into building a lit mag from scratch. Which seems totally easy, right? Like piece of cake.
How much time do you have?
Yeah. So first, let me just give a little bit of an introduction. This is from their site. 5 South is an online biannual literary journal where storytelling counts. Whether it's in prose or poem form, we want to get to the meat of it. We like stories about people, places, memories, things that make us feel connected. We want heroes and fighters. I love this. We want heroes and fighters, day drinkers and poets. We want grit, rock and roll, hope, despair, and honesty. People who stand up for what they believe in is our jam. Real people make mistakes. We want all the strong voices that have something to say, but leave your soapbox at home. We appreciate nuance. Like the 5 freeway, we want scenery that varies from strip malls to green pastures. And Kristen Simental is an emerging Latinx author, has pursued literature, music, and photography all her life. Born in East LA and raised in Oxnard, Kristen tackled her world with curiosity, passion, and defiance. At age 18, she left Oxnard for the LA music scene. She started one of the first independent online music sites, Dark Culture magazine. In 2016, while sidelined with a long illness, Kristen wrote first drafts of 4 novels, 5 short stories, and 2 novellas. Her first piece was published in Sheriff Nottingham that year. Her novella, Why Arizona, has been awarded the 2019 DeGroote Prize. She is currently working towards a degree in English and is the founder and editor of 5 South, an online literary journal. So, awesome. Thank you again, Kristen. Sounds like you've been busy.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. Tell us, like why did you start your literary magazine? What inspired you? What is the origin story, and how did you kick it off?
Well, yeah, like you read in the bio, I had a music magazine that I started back in the olden times of the internet. And I loved it. It was a lot of work. It was blood, sweat, and tears, all that stuff. I loved it. And then, you know, life changes and you start pivoting and you start doing other things. But I just sort of missed that life. I missed being around writers and writing and culture and art and all that stuff. So I was working for Inscape magazine in Pasadena at Pasadena City College. And I was asked to do an interview with a poet by the name of Adam Clay.
Okay.
And we were just talking, and he told me that he and a buddy of his started a journal like I think he said in the early 2000s, and that they still have it and it's still running. A fun, low-key thing to do. You know, the lockdown, we were already in lockdown, and I was looking for something because school had gotten canceled, like the entire semester had gotten canceled.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of looking for something, and he sort of put that little seed in my brain, and I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, why not? You know, why not put something together and see what happens? As a fun low-key project.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I saw in your editor's note to issue 1 that you had the idea as this fun low-key project, and then it's become 12-hour days.
Yeah, little did I know.
Yeah. So what's going on there? What is the bulk of the work entail? Is it a lot of back-end website stuff? Is it reading submissions? Is it all sort of things you didn't anticipate?
Well, I think when I started out, I knew what was involved. I knew it was going to be a lot. And I kind of made a vow to myself that, like, not this time, because with my first magazine, I really lived and breathed, and that's all I did. And I thought, not this time. I'm married now. I have a writing career. I'm trying to go to school. But it just kind of started growing. And the bulk of what I do is kind of, I don't know, I don't want to scare anybody, but it's a lot. It's I'm the editor-in-chief, so I do all of that. I do the admin and the finance and the web design and the graphic design and the marketing, plus managing our staff. I think now we've got 9 staff members. So getting everybody on board and sort of building the company culture, and plus writing. I kind of do everything.
That's really cool. I didn't realize you did the web
That's
design.
the bulk of what I do.
The website looks amazing. It's really, I was looking at it on my computer and then also on my phone, and the interface is it's so neat, it's so simple, it's so easy to navigate. So I'm really impressed that you're doing that as well as the editorial work and reading submissions and editing and all of that. It sounds like a lot.
I try to sort of bento box my life, you know. I try to put, you know, today is, we're doing the podcast. So I'm, you know, I do the audio engineering for the podcast and the recording, and I try to just compartmentalize everything and just not spread myself thin, but like give myself blocks of time where I can focus, you know, without a little bit here, a little bit there, but really focus for a couple of hours on this, focus for a couple of hours on that, and then just kind of, it's very scheduled. It has to be. Everything has to be very organized and scheduled.
Yeah, that sounds healthy. That's good.
I've learned a lot.
So what is, it seemed like between issue 1 and issue 2, you were sort of flooded with submissions. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So what happened was we were kind of getting like a little bit here and there, a nice steady stream, but not as much as we wanted. And we had talked about opening up maybe a free submission period to just kind of like, you know, hey, anybody who wants to submit, just go for it. We'll just open it up for a week. And little did we know people would take us up on it. And we ended up getting about 800 submissions that week.
Wow.
So that was, I mean, I really expected 150 max. I totally underestimated.
Right.
So yeah, we had to kind of, you know, recalibrate and bring in some readers. And that was really when we decided, like, okay, this thing is going to be bigger than we thought, and let's go for it. Let's just, you know, let's bring in some readers and let's make this a real thing.
Where did you advertise for submissions?
Nowhere.
Really?
I think on Twitter. I think I put up a couple of posts on Twitter, but that was all through Submitable's Discovery. They have that Discovery feature on I think on their main page. Yeah. Wow. I think I did one or two tweets, and then the rest was all from Submitable.
Wow.
So yeah, like, whew.
Yeah. So what is the editorial process there? How do you, so you have this huge sudden influx of submissions. Take us through that process.
Well, basically we scrambled. It was a scramble, but we brought in, we started a application process to bring in some readers. And right off the bat, we found some really great readers, Luke and Lauren. They just hit the ground running, and we just, all of us, and then we brought in Mina, who is our fiction editor, and all of us just kind of were like, just get through as much as you can. We'll, you know, writing their comments and everybody review and screen, and it was just all hands on deck, and we got it done in like a couple of months. So it was really,
that's awesome.
It was, everybody brought their A game. It was the A team, you know. It was just like, it was really actually inspiring to watch how everybody just kind of like, they jumped in and got it done. It was great.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, it was. It was fun, stressful, but fun.
So you have the readers, is one a poetry reader and the other is prose, or does everybody read everything?
Well, we do have a separate two separate departments. We have a poetry side and a fiction side. And the fiction side is short fiction and flash, and they kind of will read either short or flash, whatever they're working on. And then poetry will only read the poetry.
Okay.
So I figure it's a different skill set. It's a different mindset as well. So yeah.
So the initial readers,
I think they could, but
yeah, the initial readers will read, and I'm sure they're like definite no's, like things that just, they're not right for the magazine, they're not ready to be published, whatever. And then there's some maybes, and those maybes they pass up to you and to other editors. Is that kind of how it works?
basically, like, okay, so our process is ideally we like to have 2 readers per piece. And then the department editor comes in as the tiebreaker, because a lot of times, not a lot, but sometimes we'll have, a no and a maybe, or a yes and a maybe, or a yes and a no. So the department editor or I will be the tiebreaker. So we get the readers, at least 2 readers per piece if possible. And then I like to, well, let me see how to explain this. So as we're reading through the season for issue 3, for example, we're building our long list for the issue. And then towards the end of the reading period, we're going to have an editorial meeting where we all discuss and all build together the issue. I like everybody at 5 South to have a voice. I think everybody's voice matters. So it's not just, one grand poobah at the top making all of the decisions. I want it to be very collaborative. So we're all kind of building this beautiful thing together. It's really great. So yeah, the readers come in first, the department editor's the tiebreaker, but then we all discuss what we've collected over the season together.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And are there, I guess, are you seeing a lot of a certain kind of story? I imagine a lot of people writing about plagues and lockdowns and...
Oddly, we don't get that many plague stories. We do get a few.
Yeah.
I would say one of the biggest trends is sort of nostalgia. I think people are feeling very nostalgic this year and last year. A lot of looking back, a lot of regret, a lot of what we call bad dads, where people are angry at their parents for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And a lot of stories about grandparents and family. And I think you get a sense that, like we miss our family, we miss our friends. We're looking back. I mean, I hear so many people talking about, just in general, sort of in the social media verse, talking about going back to the music from high school, and just, I don't know, maybe there's just something about what's going on now that we're all kind of, I don't know, getting out of the present and going to the past where things were maybe not happier, but easier, or easier to understand. I don't know, but that's some of the trends that we're seeing.
That's really interesting. Huh. Yeah, people are sort of longing for, I guess, some kind of escape or some kind of time that was more familiar. And which is, I really loved your editor's note. I found it really kind of soothing. There was this idea, I forget if it was the first issue or the second issue, but this idea that there's so much going on. There's so much chaos and uncertainty and anger and rage and all, just everywhere on social media and what we read, what we consume, our interactions. And this is a place to sort of, the work should be transporting in some way. So don't come like with your agenda, and it's not a place to send your screed against politicians, or I don't know if any lit mags want that necessarily, but the work should sort of be transportive.
I think of it sort of, I mean, maybe a little naively, maybe, but a little bit like sort of the golden age of Hollywood, where you think about what was going on in the world at that time. You've got the Great Depression and World War II and all this horrible stuff happening. But then you go to the movies and you can see Fred Astaire just dancing and being silly and having a good time, and just movies in general. I grew up on movies, you know, so I sort of, you know, they are escapism, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to want to get away and not deal with reality for a minute, because you know, we deal with it a lot.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's
yeah. And I do think increasingly, actually, I'm turning more to fiction as a kind of reality. So there's so much conflicting information around us all the time, and I feel like increasingly fiction and poetry is very grounding, and it's there's like a different kind of truth, or like a certain kind of certainty that is there, that is more comforting than what I'm finding in other areas.
Yeah, I think writers can't help it. You can't hide the truth. It's in there, you know, looking it's between the lines, it's there. So
yeah, totally. That's really cool. So you also just closed submissions for your contests. You started.
Those are open.
They're open. Yeah. I thought, did I misread? I thought it said up until April 26th.
No, we started on April 26th.
Oh.
Yeah, we're closing on, well, the poetry is closing on June 14th, I think.
Okay.
And the short fiction is closing on June 26th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so those just opened. We just started.
Oh, cool. That's great. Yay. Okay, everybody submit to their contests. They're open till June.
We're open.
So I was going to, maybe it's premature, but I've always actually wondered like what the process is with contests. I'm sure it's different at different magazines, but is that, so I know they have like, you have guest editors, but will the guest or the judges read every submission, or do you guys screen it first and then?
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to be screening. We're going to be providing the judges with a short list of 20 pieces.
Okay.
So for poetry, our judge is Darren Demery. He's a great poet from issue 1, 5 South issue 1. And our short fiction contest is being judged by Kristen Arnett. So we're going to give each of them 20 pieces to do the final selection. So we're curating that rather short list for them, and then they'll pick from the 20. Okay.
And is this one of the contests where pieces that don't win are considered for the magazine?
Oh yeah. Every piece that's submitted is considered for issue 3.
That's great. That's really cool. So so you guys have a lot going on, which it's so inspiring. It's so impressive for a new magazine. There's fiction and poetry, and you also have original art that accompanies each piece.
Yeah, we got a friend of Mina Manchester, our fiction editor, came in and is doing a guest editorship, and I liked the idea of that, of having sort of a new vision for sort of the look, the feel, the mood of each issue. So we are actually bringing in another guest editor for issue 3. So it'll have like different vibe. Yeah. And this person's a photographer we're talking to, so it'll be neat. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll bring their own, a different aesthetic to the issue.
Yeah. Which I think is neat. Kind of keeps things interesting.
And you also have a podcast.
Working on a podcast.
It's so great. There's so many different facets to this magazine, which I'm sure is really stressful, but really exciting too. So what will be on the podcast?
The podcast is going to be authors and poets from the issue reading their work. We've also got some interviews that we're lining up, and I don't quite have the elevator speech worked out on this one yet, but it's, I'm generally describing it as more of a audio experience versus a chat show, or sort of like a formatted show. I want it to be something nice to listen to, something entertaining. I'm kind of getting my inspiration from Joe Frank, who is a kind of the the forefather of modern public radio, like This American Life and Radio Lab and shows like that, where he trained Ira Glass. So he's sort of Joe Frank is my inspiration for just a mood, a vibe, something pretty and beautiful to listen to. It doesn't take too much effort to, again, we're back to escapism.
Yeah, so it'll be work from the issues, and then any like interviews with the writers, or
and interviews with kind of whoever kind of interesting people that cross our paths. Yeah, it's not really super planned, the interview part. It's kind of just interesting people we want to talk to.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah.
And whatever else we think of. We're just
Is there anything that has let's see, so what has changed for you since starting your like, have you realized like, whoa, I thought running a lit mag was going to be this, and now I realize that it's actually more about this? Or
No, I think I understood. I think I understood going in that I think people that I had talked to that were editors, they basically said it's a lot of work, and you're going to be doing a lot of office stuff. And I think I had pretty realistic expectations going in. I like doing admin work as well. But I like doing everything. So I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So it's not really stressful. It's like, like they say, when you love what you do, it's not work. So
right, that's great. I saw somebody on Twitter said that one thing that they didn't expect about starting a lit mag was how many pieces they loved they would have to reject.
That is hard. That's something that you can't even explain. It just I don't know. I mean, when you're going through the submissions and you've got 7-10 great pieces, and you can only pick 5, there is that like, kind of kill your darlings feeling where you have to sort of, you just have to make a call. It's like, they're all good and you'd be fine to publish any one of them. But you just have to make a call. It is tough.
Yeah. Do you ever, because it's an online magazine, would you consider extending the amount that you publish, or do you have like a strict?
I try to keep it 5 each. 5 poetry, 5 short fiction, and 5 flash, but that's mostly because I'm the one editing and formatting and proofing and doing all of that. So it's mostly to manage my own workflow. But we could, if we really wanted to, and there was time. It's very flexible.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, but it's nice to stay true to the theme of the 5.
I like to be flexible. I don't like too many hard and fast rules. I like everything to be a little bendable. So it's like, if we want 7, we'll put 7. If we want 4, we'll put 4. It's just kind of, what do we have time for? What do we love? What's what's speaking to us right now?
Right. What can you, is there a trend in like what's speaking to you guys right now? Like, is there something you want to see more of, or maybe something that you didn't know you wanted that really surprised you, that you kind of found in the?
No, not for me. I tend to go in very like a blank canvas almost, where I don't know what to expect or what I'm hoping for. I just really want something that is fun, entertaining. It doesn't have to be fun. It can be hard and emotional. But something that just grabs you, and it doesn't have to be anything in particular, just good story. That's really, it could be about elves. It could be about, romance. It could be cowboy story. As long as it's a good, engaging story, that's what we want.
Right. Yeah. And no theme issues.
Not really, no. We haven't really thought about it or planned it. We could, I suppose, in the future, but we hadn't really thought about it.
Is that case, like,
I like the broad range of stuff that comes in.
Do you have an opinion about theme issues generally for lit mags, or not so much?
I think they're great. I think
Yeah.
they're really fun. I think they add a really nice focus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think they're awesome. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're, because it's sort of, I don't know, for me as a writer as well, it's like when you see a nature theme, you're like, oh, what do I have? Or can
Right.
I write something? So it maybe encourages people a little bit too
Yeah.
with a theme.
I think so. It's one of those weird literary things where I feel like some people have very strong opinions about theme issues. I think they're great, and I think they're really helpful for writers because, like you said, you can find something that fits perfectly with your work, and maybe you're even more likely to get it published because it fits that particular theme. Maybe the call for submissions is less competitive because fewer people are submitting to that
It's
particular
true, yeah.
theme. But some people just really are opposed to theme issues. I find that really interesting.
Well, if I were to do something like that, it would be because I would like the idea of seeing the different perspectives on that single theme. So if you
Mm-hmm.
said nature, I mean, you're going to get so
Yeah.
many different interesting viewpoints and visions of what that actually means. So that
Mm-hmm.
could be fun, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so in your actually, do you want to tell us a little bit about like why five? Why what that means? The 5 South.
Well, the 5 South here in California is the freeway. It goes all the way from Mexico to Canada.
Mhm.
And it's just a California landmark. It's sort of, if you live here, you're on it all the time.
Mhm.
And it's a really, when I named it 5 South, I was thinking sort of about like California, because we're on the west, primarily on the West Coast. We do have some staff members, Australia, India, East Coast, um, California. So we're kind of all over. But I kind of, because I was starting it, I wanted to come up with something that sort of, I don't know, typified California, the West Coast, that sort of vibe about, I don't know. I was just sort of like looking at pictures, and I was looking at a map, and I realized I saw that it goes all the way up to Canada, and it looks like a scar. And
Yeah.
it, but it's a really interesting stretch of freeway, a long stretch of freeway, because it's so weird and diverse, and some parts are very beautiful. I mean, just like picturesque postcards, and others are really ugly, and
Mm.
you just want to get through as fast as possible.
Mm.
So it's a really neat, interesting landmark, and I think it describes California so well, the East
Mm.
Coast so well.
Yeah.
It really is. It encompasses everything about the East Coast in one fell swoop. So
Right. Right. So interesting. So, but you're not looking for stories necessarily that are attached to a sense of place.
no, no,
That's not
no.
like
I
really.
mean, your place, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily our place. We don't want to sort of pigeonhole ourselves and just be West Coast,
Hmm.
because the world's not like that anymore. I mean, it's, like I said, we have a reader in India and Australia. We have our associate editor, Luke, is in Australia. And so, yeah, it would be kind of, I don't know, greedy to to just talk about the
Yeah, or
the
to
West.
limit. I know Ziziva is like the magazine that I always get frustrated because it's such a cool magazine, and then it's like, it's only writers from the West Coast. So I guess, yeah,
Turn off my
you don't want
humor.
to limit it necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely not. No, I think it's I don't know, it's more interesting to,
Mhm.
hear voices from all over. We have access to all over. So yeah, let's hear from the four corners of the earth, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So in terms of like brass tacks, so you're looking for story flash fiction, which means stories under 1,000 words.
1,000, yeah, 1,000
Yeah.
words.
And then for the short stories, um,
Short fiction is, I think it's 3,000. It was 5,000. I think we went down to 3,000 because I think
okay,
that makes it a little more
yeah,
concise,
yeah,
writer.
yeah. I think that's good for online format.
Yeah.
It's appealing. And then poetry, no.
No limit on poetry, but I think we set a limit on pages. So no word count, but pages are five
Okay.
pages.
And do you guys plan on being open for submissions all year, or will it be a seasonal?
Well, I think we're figuring that out. I think we're working on a new section called the weekly, where we're going to rotate flash fiction and poetry every week, a new piece every week. So I think that'll be open year round. And then the main issue is going to close just to give us a breather as we're putting the issue up. So it'll be, I think it's going to be closed for a couple of months.
Okay. Okay.
Just to give us a break into.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
And then so you're also a writer. How
I am, yeah.
Finding time to work on your writing?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Has it, but it's actually,
yeah,
I imagine reading, yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say I have to like scratch out, 5 minutes here, or sometimes I just have to say screw it and I'm taking the weekend, or but it is a balancing act. It's not as much time as I would like, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe hopefully like once the magazine is more sort of stable, things kind of will settle a little bit.
Right now we're building. So right now we're building this foundation, and that takes, for people wanting to start a journal, that's the hardest part, is building the foundation and getting your policies and getting all the copy written and all of your graphics, and getting that infrastructure built is the most time consuming, the most difficult. Once that, we're almost there. We're this close to being, a well-oiled machine.
And how do you get readers? What is that like? How is the readership? Have you gotten responses from readers?
Yeah, I put a posting on Twitter. We have all of our current readers ask around. We like to bring in people that we know can do the work or are interested.
Oh, sorry, I meant like readers, like lay people out in the world reading the magazine.
Oh, how are we getting, those kinds of readers. Oh, those guys. How are we finding them? Was that your question?
Yeah, are you finding them? Because I think that's always the challenge with lit mags, right? Is
I think we're doing better than I expected, for sure. We're getting at least somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 views per month on the website.
That's great.
Which is, that's awesome. That's 2,000 people who know about us.
Right, right.
So we have also the newsletter. Our newsletter is, I like to call it robust. It's filled with different and many resources for writers. We've got lists and contests and
cool.
Job listings that I curate from all over. And so we bring in readers through that. Twitter, not so much Facebook, Instagram. That's generally where people are coming from.
And I see we have a question in our chat. Can you talk about a couple of pieces you've accepted and why you like them?
Okay, sure, yeah. Oh, just in general? There weren't specific pieces?
Yeah, like maybe there were a few pieces that you published recently that you just fell in love with. And what was it about those pieces that that drew you in and made you feel like we have to publish these?
I think there are a couple that stand out. In this last issue, No Cure by Lucy Zhang. I don't know if anybody's read that.
Is that the blowjob one? Yeah, I did read that one.
That one for me, there's going to be a spoiler alert if you haven't read it. Because the part that really why I picked that piece is not just because it was about a blowjob and it was salacious. It was there's this scene where she goes to see the witch, and that just really was like, wow. Yeah, I love that. I love when you get caught off guard by a story, and that for me, and it's moving, and it is actually very moving. And when you're in a relationship or something that's a struggle for women or anyone, it's a thing, it's a real thing, and it can be emotional and confusing, and I thought that was super real and also funny.
There's definitely a very intense feeling of vulnerability that comes from that piece. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt very real and awkward, and that's all true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I like that. I was drawn to the title because I thought it was going to be related to COVID or something like this. No cure, right? It was like the idea of viruses or illness or something like
I
that.
did see.
And then it was like this teenage like confusion story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I picked that one. Another one that really has stuck with me was in issue 1. It's called Killing Flies, and that one was for me very personal because it's about a dad and a daughter, and my dad passed away 12 years ago, but it's hard with split families. Your parents get divorced, and it was very like just really
Yeah.
just hit me where it counts.
Mhm.
It was really real, and you know it was from the dad's perspective, and I kind of imagined my dad probably went through that with us kids,
Mhm.
only getting to see us on the weekends and summer vacations. And so it was really beautiful. And
Yeah.
it was also weird because the idea is that they bond over killing flies. There's a bunch of
Mhm.
flies on the patio, and they both get the swatters. And I think it's so weird
Yeah.
that like that's a thing you do with your dad.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, yeah, so I like stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
just kind of gets you, gets
Yeah.
you where it counts.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah, it's very specific and memorable and
Yeah.
tender and
Mhm.
a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Almost like a little bit creepy in some ways, like killing flies, but very tender and real. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always, I think most people have weird stories like that with their dad. Like, what do you bond over? Like digging weeds or,
Hmm.
picking up dog poop. You have a nice conversation in the backyard. I mean, that actually happened to me. Like so
Yeah.
it's not the relationship you have with your mother for sure. It's always a little grittier, a little,
Right. I'm
more.
actually thinking there was in Augustin Burroughs' memoir, Running with Scissors, I think he said that his dad was a trash collector, and every time he smelled like the rank, sweet smell of garbage, he would think of his father. So
Right.
yeah, make me think of that. Interesting.
Yeah, my dad sold he was a salesman for a gasoline company. So he would sell gasoline to trucking companies. And
Mm.
every time I see those trucks or that sign or a
Yeah,
gas station, I think of my dad. So
yeah,
yeah.
interesting. So it sounds like something personal, tender, but not sentimental. Like somehow these stories manage to walk a line that isn't um, sappy.
Yeah, I don't really go for cloying. I like
Yeah.
things that are well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes I do, but you never know. I just like stuff that has an impact that sort
Yeah.
of, I don't know, makes you think about stuff, makes you feel good. I mean, yeah, I mean, I like with killing flies, it made me think about my dad, and that's
Yeah.
nice. And I
Yeah.
think I'm not the only person who's lost their dad and misses him or,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I like stuff that resonates not just with me, but I feel maybe has sort of a broader impact or a broader reach where a lot of people have this problem or have
Hmm.
this concern or have these memories, because I think that's humanity. We're all connected, and we're all as different and diverse as we are. We all share a lot of similar experiences in
Sure.
life, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think we're looking for the stuff that ties us together,
Hmm. Hmm.
like dads, like weird dads. And
Yeah. Yeah. Family
yeah.
emotions. Yeah. So it sounds like you probably wouldn't favor stuff that's experimental or sort of more uh, detached in some ways, maybe things that focus on language explicitly or
No, I think the general consensus from everybody on the team is it good? I think
Mhm.
we're definitely very open-minded. We try to be. I think that's the criteria. Is this good? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's experimental or it's genre bending or it
Hmm.
doesn't quite fit even what we're looking for, or what we think it should be, is it good? That's the question that we're trying to answer.
Right. That's great.
Is it fun? Is it entertaining? Is it, does it tell a good story?
That's great.
So definitely open to all of that. Definitely experimental, you name it. Yeah.
That's cool. So where are you guys now? Are you reading for issue 3? Where are you now in the process?
Yeah, we're reading for issue 3. We're reading the 2 contests that just opened up, and what else? The weekly. We're working on picking out stuff for the weekly to get that started. Yeah, and simultaneously I'm working on building the podcast slowly. And gosh, I should have my to-do list, but yeah, there's all cylinders are firing at the moment. So it's game on right now. So we're definitely on issue 3.
Yeah. Do you have a timeline for when that might be live?
Yeah, it's going to go live on the 20th, I believe it's the 22nd or the 23rd of September.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like we're timed out seasonally. So like issue 2 went out on the first day of spring, and issue 3 is going to go out on the first day of fall. I just think it's a good way to remember.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I believe that's the 22nd or the 23rd. I'm not sure.
Okay. But in the fall, we can be on the lookout.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. In the fall, it's coming.
Yeah. And is there more that you wish writers knew about what goes into creating a literary magazine, and maybe your literary magazine in particular?
Yeah, I think that when you're just starting out, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about starting a journal is that it's not a business. It is a business, especially if you want to become a nonprofit. And I think my advice to anybody starting a journal is take a business class. Learn how to manage your finances, maybe even marketing too, because when you first start out, you're wearing all the hats.
Yeah.
You need to know about contracts and legal issues. A lot of stuff comes up. I mean, there is to some extent, sort of jump and build your net on the way down. But I would say you could build your net a little bit beforehand by taking a business class or some marketing, online or whatever, just very quickly. Even some editing courses. The more you know going in, the better. And it's more work than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to deter anybody, but just to sort of set realistic expectations.
Yeah. Those are great points, because I never, if I were thinking about starting a literary magazine, I just think like, oh yeah, you just sit around and read submissions and then you post them, accept some things, and
you can do that too.
Yeah,
you can do that too, for sure. I think there are plenty of journals out there that's all they do. But I think that if you want to reach a wider audience, if you want to start paying your writers,
right,
which we're trying to do, we're not there yet, but we are trying to do that. Then you're running a business. If you're paying people or you're charging money, even like with Simental, we have a $3 fee. We're charging people, so we're a business. We have money coming in.
Right.
So you have to know a little bit about that, at least at the very least, buy a business book, an entrepreneur book, because there's a lot of stuff that comes up that I have learned over various projects over the year. I did have a photography business for about 7 years. So that's just stuff that I'm bringing from, former lives into 5 South that, if you're just starting out, you don't know what you don't know. So it's better for as many bases as possible, I think.
Right.
Learn as much as you can about everything.
Right.
And, makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah. It's good to hear, because I suspect a lot of writers might have some aversion to business thinking, but I remember I was running the review. I don't know if you're familiar with that site, but it was a lit mag review site, and a lot of it was I had to think like a business person, and I was it was fun. It was fun to use a different side of my brain and to pretend that I was like a professional person. But it was also surprising, that there was much more. I think often you go into it thinking it's going to be purely a creative endeavor. And I think the creative stuff ends up being maybe like, I don't know, like 30% of what you're
20%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this great book. It's called The E Myth, letter E Myth.
Okay.
And I think it's I may be wrong. Michael Gerber is the author. I read it
Okay.
years ago. But what it talks about is that, there are artists and there are technicians and then there are entrepreneurs. And, these are three different things. And if you want to be successful, you kind of have to be all three. You have to be the technician, you have to be the artist, and you have to be the entrepreneur. And I think that's the myth, is that, like you were saying, if you're, you want to sell cupcakes or pies or something like that, you're great at making pies, but you know nothing about, payroll or
Right.
business taxes
Mhm.
or how to even fill out a lease,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
a space.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good book I recommend to anybody starting a business, is The E Myth. It'll change everything for any business. If you're an artist and you want to sell your paintings, you need to know,
Yeah.
we all assume it's just going to be making art all the time. And that's the hard part. You're in your 20s and you're so optimistic and you think, I'll be doing this forever. And then all of a sudden you don't, someone rips you off and you don't know what to do. And,
Yeah.
it's like the school of hard knocks, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's important to approach even being an artist or a writer as a little bit as, as a business, because there's money involved, there's contracts, there's legal stuff to worry about. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, no, I think that's very savvy. What about for writers submitting to your magazine? Anything you wish people knew?
I think I'll tell you, one of my biggest, it's not really an annoyance. It's a thing I wish was different. I think that there are a lot of writers writing for word count. It's really obvious, especially in flash fiction, because flash is really a difficult medium. You can tell as you're kind of rounding the corner to the end of the story and it just drops, it's done. And you're like, wait, I feel like there should have been more. And you look at the word count and it's almost exactly 1,000. And you're like, okay, they were just writing for word count, or they chopped it off at the end. And I wish people would stop writing for word count and just write the story that they want to write and not worry about it. If it's flash, it's flash. If it's short fiction, it's short fiction. But yeah, we can tell that a lot of flash pieces just drop off at the end, and it's pretty obvious. So I wish people would just write the story they want to write and not worry about word count.
Right. Or make it work somehow so that it fits the word count and it's not just
well, yeah, flash is hard.
Yeah.
Flash is really, that's why we love it so much, because it's a challenge to get a full story in 1,000 words.
Right. Of course.
But there's great workshops out there, so people should look around and maybe take some workshops and stuff. Yeah.
Totally.
Not easy. Flash
No.
seems like easy.
None of it's easy.
Yeah.
It all seems like it should be easy, but
it's all hard.
Yeah, none of it. The longer stories are, there's a whole other complication there too.
Well, I think with the longer stories, you feel a little more relaxed because you're like, all right, I got a little time to sort of smooth out this plot or whatever.
Yeah.
Flash, you gotta get it done fast.
Right.
And well.
Right. And I think so many people are writing flash. I mean, so many people are writing all kinds of fiction, but I think it's a pretty competitive genre. So it's got to work.
I lost connection.
Oh, you there? Oh, it might be me. Are we back?
I think so. Yeah, we're back now.
We were just saying it's all hard. Writing is hard. There are no easy answers.
The moral of the story is it's all hard.
Yes. Well, any other questions from our audience or any other final remarks, Kristen? It sounds like there's the contests are running now. Submissions are open now for people.
Contests are running now, so everybody Everybody should enter those. Kristen Arnett is doing the short fiction. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And we're so grateful for her participation in that. Darren Demery is doing poetry judge, and his stuff, everybody, you have to check his stuff out. He's an amazing poet. So we hope people will check out the contest. They're fun. It's a fun thing. And we're going to do a $250 prize, and the winner and the 2 finalists go into an anthology that we're putting together.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is another, we didn't even get to that. That's a print anthology that'll be coming out.
Because I need more projects, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you need more on your plate. Do you do consulting? Yeah.
Well, I could.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like a really great project. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like when you enjoy what you're doing, it's not work. It doesn't feel like work for me. So I'm having fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. Well, again, the magazine is 5 South, and everybody should check them out. It's 5south.net. 5south.net. Super clean website, really gorgeous design, great stories, great poetry, and submit to them and read them and follow them on Twitter at 5 South.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 5 South Lit on Twitter.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'll hit stop recording unless any other.
Great. Well, thank you everybody that showed up, and Becky, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kristen.